Thanks so much to all my patrons. Join now to help support the channel and help pick the books that I review. Link in the description. So it is the 2nd of the month, and that means I am a day late to bring you my September to be read list. Sorry, last night when I would normally have been filming this, I went out really late with my family to a nighttime water park, and I was way too exhausted when I got home to be able to film a video. But I'm here. I'm doing it. Just a day late. But before we go into all the books that I'm going to be reading, let's talk about my my TBR contest from the previous month. So each month I run this little contest where you predict the books that I'm going to read. The people that get the most right win, the top 3 people, and they get highlighted in my TBR video for the next month. And if they win twice, they get to pick any book they want for me to read and review. Tons of people have won in the past and got to pick books for me. I'd love you to join to see if you can join that group. Then join on the Discord, and you can follow along every time I finish a book. I give updates on where people are and like a standings. It's really fun, and I'd love to have you join. The gold medal winner for this month was 𝐿𝐼, who got 7 out of 8 correct. The silver went to 𝐂𝐮𝐫𝐿𝐢, who got 6 out of 8 correct. And the bronze went to �razzle-dazzle, who got 5 out of 8 correct. The book that most people correctly guessed was my 5-star rating of House of Assassins by 𝗟𝗄𝐿. About 68% of you got that one right. And the book most people got wrong was my 4.5-star rating of The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. Only about 6% of you got that right. So every month I ask kind of a ridiculous question, and I highlight the person that I thought gave the best answer. This month it was, give me the best fantasy book-related pun for a fantasy football team. I'm giving this one a tie between The Wandering Pigskin, submitted by Holy Oak, and The Bloody Niners of the NFC North, submitted by Fiddler1151. I ended up picking The Wandering Pigskin for my team, but yeah, these are both awesome titles. All right, let's go over the books. So the first book that I'm reading this month is Words of Radiance. This is the second book in Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. I'm doing this one on audiobook, which is a change for me. Should finish this up around the 4th of the month. It is about 1,088 pages, and I'm predicting 5 stars. Now, the only thing that could hold this back from getting 5 stars, in my opinion, is the audiobook. I have not done audio of the series before, so I read all 4 books like a few years back. Loved them all. Gave this one a 5-star. The only book I did not give a 5-star was my 4.5-star rating for Oathbringer. But then I read The Way of Kings. I gave that 5 stars in my reread. But I did these all physical version. I did audiobook. I'm doing audiobook this time. And we'll see how it goes. I don't want to give any, I've already started reading it, so I don't want to like give you any hints about what I'm thinking about things already. But my prediction before I started reading it was 5 stars, because this was one of my favorite books I've ever read. And so I can't imagine that it's going to fall, that much off. Now, that's changed before. I feel like the Mistborn books all kind of fell off for me. The first Mistborn book I felt like was one of my best books I've ever read, and that fell off enormously. So, we'll see. But man, Words of Radiance, I have such positive memories of this book, such positive memories of the series. I know Brandon's faults and his strengths, and I know that pretty confident internally that I'm going to love this one on my reread. Speaking of rereads that I know that I'm going to love, is Deadhouse Gates. So this is the second book in Malazan Book of the Fallen by Steven Erikson. Doing this one in book format. Should finish this up around the 8th. It is 868 pages, and in the most predictable of predictable scores, I'm predicting 5 stars. Malazan is one of my favorite series, is my favorite series. This book is one of my favorite books in the series. And quite frankly, my opinion of this book has risen since I read it. And as I get to reflect on it, get to compare it to other books that I've read, this one is, in my opinion, by far the most kind of grimdark of all the books in the series. I love grimdark stuff. I feel like the storyline plot points are some of my favorite of all time. I mean, the Fellowson arc is beautiful and heart-wrenching. And I know that a lot of people dislike that arc. I love that arc. This is just such a complex character that goes through so much trauma. And me having a daughter that's older now that I'm reading this on a reread, I feel like it will hit me even stronger on the trauma that this character goes through and what they try to do to mentally keep sane through the trauma. And then the whole Chain of Dogs sequence of this horrific quest to take these refugees from one part of a continent to the other while they're being attacked the entire way and trying to survive, at horrific odds. There's so many aspects to this book that I love, and I'm just so excited to be back reading this one again. All right, now for the ones that I don't know what I'm going to rank it. This is 𝐿𝐻 War. This is the first book in the 𝐿𝐻 War series by John Scalzi. This book won the Raffle Wheel. I know nothing about it, literally nothing about it. I'm reading this in book format. Should finish this up on the 11th. It is only 320 pages. I'm going to predict 3 stars. And 3 stars is kind of my prediction that I do for books that I don't really know anything about. I suspect it is about a war involving people from like a previous generation that had fought before. I feel like it's fantasy or sci-fi. Maybe one of the two, maybe not a blend, but I think it's more sci-fi maybe. But I wish I could talk more about this, but I know nothing about it. I do know that John Scalzi is a rather famous author. I was surprised by how many Goodreads ratings this book had, like hundreds of thousands of ratings. Enormously popular. I don't know why I've never read any John Scalzi before. Maybe he writes a lot of stuff that aren't fantasy, and sometimes he writes fantasy. So we'll see. I've heard mixed things about it. So. Yeah, not too sure what I'm gonna think about that one. All right, next up is The Crimson Campaign. This is book 2 of The _Powder_Mage by Brian McClellan. I'm doing this in audiobook. Should finish this up around the 13th of the month. It is 593 pages. I'm predicting 4 stars. This is a reread. I gave it 5 stars the first time around. When I read the first one, forgot the name of the first one. I gave it a lower score than I did the first time. I gave it 4 stars. So I gave both of these books 5 stars. Since I gave the first one 4 stars, I'm going to predict this one 4 stars as well. I do know the audiobook is wonderful. I love the audiobook narration. It has the perfect level. I mean, the audiobook narrator is great. And it follows just complex enough to be able to follow it really easily through an audiobook. But not like overly simplistic. So I love that. Brian McClellan, I think, is a wonderful, underrated author. He's a guy that has taken, I feel like, writing courses from Brandon Sanderson. Not like he tries to copy him, but like he's literally taken courses from Sanderson. But I don't find him to be super Sanderson-esque in what he does. I mean, he's not as reliant on these magic systems like Brandon is. Magic definitely takes a background to the story. But he does the multiple POV, epic world-changing events kind of story. But his are much more like, big deal for the continent. I mean, he's got a much bigger world than is just going on here. And so, it feels a little smaller scale than Brandon's used to. But yeah, really fun stuff. And I'm excited to keep going in this series. Then I'm reading The Dregs of Empire. This is a novella in the Sun Eater series by Christopher Ruocchio. I'm doing this in book format. Should finish this up around the 15th. It is 330 pages, which is not even a novella. I feel like that's just a small novel. I'm predicting 4 stars. Now, Ruocchio is an author that I love. His 5 books that he has in the main Sun Eater series, I've given 5 stars. He is one of my favorite authors, and this is one of my favorite series. But novellas can be hit and miss for me. The smaller the story, the less large scale it is, the more that I dislike it. But, I feel like I'm hedging a little low on this one. I should probably, up this to 4.5, because what I've heard about it sounds really fun. And this kind of heist story it follows this character Lorien, who that is a side character in the series, but one that I super love. But I'm also just really excited to finish this one up so I can read. I'm reading this one because I feel like I need to read it to read the 6th book in the series, which won the Patreon vote for this month. I will be reading it later on in this month. But I need to read this one first. So I'm going to be so excited to get through this one to finally be caught up with the Sun Eater finally, and where everybody else I feel like is on this. And I've just been playing catch up since this, for the last couple of years. And finally to be able to get there is a wonderful feeling. And then I can read the final book when it comes out. Later this year or next year, I don't know when, with everybody else as it comes out. So that'll be really exciting that I finally caught up. Then I'll be reading The Hero of Ages. This is the 3rd book in the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. I'm doing this in audiobook. Should finish this up near the end of the month on the 25th. It is 572 pages, and I'm going to predict 4.5 stars. you know, I'm all over the place on this series because I felt like the first and third books were incredible when I read them the first time. Just truly wonderful stuff. I didn't love the second one as much. But in my reread, I did not really like the first book. And I really, really, really enjoyed the second book. So now I don't know what I'm going to think about this third one. And further, a plot point that I felt like was in this third book that is one of my favorite plot points in all of fantasy. And if you've read these books, it is the epilogue of the Well of Ascension, which I kind of thought was in the Hero of Ages. So I was wrong. And so now I'm feeling even less confident about what I'm feeling about the series. But there's still a lot of plot points that I can't wait to get to. I mean, the whole arc of 𝐒𝐭𝐳 and what he ends up being, the whole arc of what's the guy's name? Is it Spook or how do I forget his name? The guy that plays a kind of a side character, but plays a major role in this one, like the least talked about member of the band of thieves or the heist group. But yeah, I am still very excited to read this one. But I feel like I'm gonna say 4.5 is like, you know, hedging between the two. I almost feel like confident that I'm either gonna not like this one or just love this one, but we'll see. Then the second to last book I'm reading this month is _Quiet Gods. This is the 6th book, the most recent book in the Sun Eater series by 𝐿 This, like I mentioned, won the Patreon vote. Doing this in book format, should finish this up around the 27th of the month. And man, I can't wait. I mean, I loved all these books so much. I just feel like this author is one of the truly greats, should be considered one of the absolute best of all time in terms of writing. And I feel like he's criminally underrated in terms of authors. I feel like the people that read him love him, but he's just not mainstream, and I feel like he should be. I've recommended his books to a lot of people, and they all love his books. And what makes me so excited about this one is that so many people tell me this is the best of the bunch. I have not heard from a single person that this book was a letdown. And oftentimes when you get to the second last book in a series, it can be a big letdown. And the fact that I've heard unanimously that this is incredible, and I feel like almost unanimously people saying it's their favorite in the series holds very strong weight for me. And yeah, super excited. And then the last book that I'm reading this month is A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking. This is this is written by T. Kingsfisher. It's a standalone book. This is the book that I'm doing as a buddy read. Should finish this up later in the month, around the 30th. I'm doing this in audiobook format. For good things about the audiobook. It's only 320 pages, and I'm predicting 4 stars. All I know about this one is it's like a lighthearted, cute, funny little story, but I know nothing else about it. The cover looks intriguing. I've heard very good things about it, and I'm very excited to do the buddy read. And so if you're interested in reading this book, look up a little bit about it. I'd love to read it with you. We do it on Discord. Come on the Discord. We read like 30, 40, 50 pages a day. We have discussions about the chapters as they happen, and it's a blast. So I'd love to invite you to come join in that with me. So those are all the books. Now that you're done, go click down below in the link and submit your picks to see if you can be one of the winners and win the TBR contest and try to win twice. And you can pick a book for me to read for you. Pick one of your favorite books that I've never read, or a book that you hate, and see if I'll hate it too. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, happy reading to you. Thanks again to all my patrons, with a special shout out to my Ascendant tier and Librarian tier patrons: Amy, Alex P, Anna G, CJ, Doused, Darren, Daniel O, JD, Jonathan, Josh, Nathan T, Ned's Book Channel, 𝐿, Ron Reich, Russell, Ryan L, Sydney Baker, Slay, Tahir, Anna, Andra, Blair, Brock, Evan, Joe UK, Kat Mick, Marcus, Michael Sugarman, and Sky. Thanks for sticking to the end of this video, and if you want to watch some more content from my channel, click over here and I've got some good videos for you. Thanks so much.